Hello and welcome to Roam, Sip and Eat.
We're off to Melrose in the Scottish borders today, so why not come along with us?
We should be in Melrose at about 10 a.m. We've been there twice before, for lunch in 2021 and then in 2022 we stayed just outside Melrose for a few nights while we were trying to decide where in the Scottish borders to move to.
Safely arrived in Melrose. We found a little car park on St Dunstan's Park, which is free, which is quite nice. A little bit of drizzle as we were arriving typically. So we're off now to find a coffee.
Near the entrance to the car park we found this Welcome to Melrose sign, which tells you a little bit more about the town.
We're walking up the high street in search of coffee and have just spotted a sign for Provender on the side of a building. Whilst it won't work for coffee as it's not open yet, we've had an excellent lunch and similarly a good dinner there on previous visits. Can highly recommend the place, particularly the lunchtime set menu.
Okay, so this looks like an option for coffee. Melrose Chambers Coffee House. It says it's open. Let's have a look at the menu. Yep, cheese scone with butter. All good. Apparently this used to be the RBS. I'm guessing it looked different then. Okay, so there's plenty of coffee options and there's also a breakfast menu. We've opted for 2 cheese scones. Predictable.
Someone sat on them.
1 latte and an Americano, both very heavily branded with the Viennese coffee manufacturer that they use.
So we've just finished in Melrose Chambers Coffee House. It was nice, but it was also rather expensive at £16.60 for a latte, an Americano and 2 cheese scones. They were good cheese scones though. So suitably refuelled, we are now going to go for a walk. So one of the great things in the Scottish borders is that pretty much all of the towns have booklets with walks, which are available on the Scottish Borders website. So we are following one from Paths around Melrose. We are doing route 2, which is Darnick and Gattonside. It's about 4.5 miles, and it will take us, unsurprisingly, to Darnick, to Gattonside, and then back through Melrose. So we'll show you a few highlights on the way.
So that's the rugby ground. We'll try and get a closer look later.
Okay, so we've just checked the instructions because we weren't expecting this gate, and we filmed a little while ago when we got to the river and we turned right. Apparently we should have turned left, so we're heading in completely the wrong direction. It's a nice walk though.
Oh, after a little stroll along the wrong side of the river as we turned right instead of turning left a little way back down there, so this is not quite how we expected to be crossing this bridge, because we would have been on the Gattonside side of the Tweed coming across towards us here, but as it turns out it's worked out okay. It's quite a pleasant stroll, so we are now about to head on the Southern Upland Way across the river towards Gatton side. Exactly 200 years old. A company in Edinburgh built and put it up. Tweed is quite shallow here. Good spot for fishing, I imagine. And down to our right, this is in the general direction of Kelso. It's quite breezy today, not as bad as it has been recently, and the weather's very changeable. Bright warm sunshine followed by little bits of drizzle and pretty dark clouds. Now we're just coming off the bridge, and it's a short stroll down into Gatton side, which is quite a nice residential area, somewhere that we looked at when we first came up to the borders.
I'm pretty sure it's up into Gatton side. I seem to recall it being quite hilly.
It is, you're right.
So we'll do a quick loop of the village of Gatton side, pretend that we've done the walk correctly, and then back over the bridge and into Melrose. I think we'll take a wander past the priory, although we won't go inside. Maybe pop up and see the old station, and then when we visited previously there was a wine shop, so if that is still open, might have a little nosy in there.
Now, I'm not entirely sure about the pronunciation, but I believe those are the Eildon Hills, and there in front of them is the Abbey.
As we head back into town, this, I believe, is the Harmony Garden, part of the National Trust for Scotland. And you can see some details about entry prices for Melrose Abbey, along with a sneak peek through the railings, although we could do without the trees being in the way.
St Cuthbert's Way starts in Melrose and winds across the border to Holy Island off the coast of Northumberland. 62 miles long though, it's best if we don't start it today.
Ooh, now that looks nice. I'm probably too full of cheese scone to have an ice cream, but we'll have to come back another time, I think.
Walking further up Abbey Street gives us a very different view of the Abbey. And there are also public toilets.
And here on the market square is that wine shop. We'll just have a quick wander inside. No purchases today, so we're off to find the station.
This looks like a popular spot for coffee. Maybe we'll try it next time.
Now, this rather grand-looking Italian restaurant, which is only open in the evenings, is actually the old station at Melrose. And you can see the plaque that marks the restoration of the building. The station was built in the mid-19th century, but shut in 1969. As the plaque said, though, it has been restored, so let's go and have a look at the platform. And while a rail link to the borders has now been restored, the nearest station is at Tweed Bank, which is a couple of miles away.
It's always interesting to look at old signs. I'm pretty sure Fry's were responsible for the Turkish Delight bars and chocolate cream, if anyone remembers that one.
Back down at the market square, there's the all-important Boots. And also the Ship Inn, which we haven't been in, but which always looks nice, so maybe we'll head there for lunch one time. It's time to start heading down the high street back towards the car, though. This is the Tremontium Museum. From what I understand, Tremontium was a Roman fort near here. We've certainly walked out and seen the ruins when we stayed here previously. And I think it was the largest fort and settlement that was north of Hadrian's Wall.
I recognise that building on the other side of the road. We had a very nice coffee there in 2022.
There's a few small local chains represented in the high street, including Purple Plum the greengrocers and Alex Dalgetty and Sons the bakers.
And we're back at the co-op by the car. Let's pop across the road and have a proper look at the rugby ground.
So this is the Greenyards, which is home to Melrose Rugby, and there's also a big Rugby Sevens tournament held here each May, I think.
We'll just grab a quick bite to eat from the co-op now, and then it'll be time to head home.
So that was our trip to Melrose. We had some rather expensive coffee and cheese scones, attempted a circular walk which ended up being shorter than it should have been,
and definitely not circular,
and had a wander around the town. A good morning?
Yes, it was. Melrose is somewhere that we know quite well from our scouting visits when looking for a building plot, and it certainly retained its attraction for me.
Yeah, you can see why it tends to do well in those best places to live in X type things year after year.
I'd imagine we'll be back again later in the year. What would you like to do then?
It would be good to walk out of town in the other direction, past the remains of Tremontium and towards the Leaderfoot Viaduct. Leaderfoot? Not sure. But I'd also like to pop into Apples for Jam again, and maybe even return to Provender.
Well, I'd be happy with all or actually any of that, particularly a meal at Provender.
That sounds like a plan then. In the meantime, if you enjoyed this video, please do give it a like and consider subscribing.
We'll be back next Wednesday with a new video. We hope to see you then.